Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsman's Direct. It is Thursday, July 14th, and it was a gorgeous day today, just a beautiful morning and just a great day weather-wise out there all day today. And it looks like we got some ups and downs weather coming over the next several days, but doesn't look like anything catastrophic. Anyway, so water temp at Belle Isle this week still holding at 72 degrees. The only reason why I mention that is because which has just been staying right at about the 70-degree mark for the last several weeks here, which is kind of a good thing because it means that these fish, even the shallow fish, are not really going to get pressured all that much to move out all that much deeper. I mean, everything is just kind of holding where it is, and it's really just a matter of weeds. And I say that every week, but it is really just a matter of finding the right structure for these fish right now. There isn't any water out there right now that's truly going to be uncomfortable for most species of fish. So, you know, going to the middle of summer here, we got great water temps. Mayfly hatch really is slowed down now to the point that I'm turning my lights back on at the store at night. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow morning if that was a wise thing or if I just jinxed myself and the whole building is going to be hairy with fish flies. So I hope not. But if it is, I'm going to start turning the lights back out again. But as it's been looking here the last week or so, the mayfly hatch has really kind of slowed down quite a bit. And I'm not going to say it's over because they'll hatch sometimes. I'll see hatches all the way sometimes into October. There'll be those little teeny tiny mayflies, but we'll see them go all the way into October a lot of times. So there'll still be fly hatches going on all year. Now I think the caddis hatches will start to get going out there. Usually this is when that'll get started.
It's a shop vac.
I think you need to go you're going to need to go upstairs. We don't generally edit, but that was a dog break there if you didn't notice, because we did have to edit that. My Labradoodle was going a little crazy. Yeah, so the caddis hatches ought to get going out here. It doesn't really mean much to most of you guys out here, but anyways, it's just that time of the year. We're getting into the summertime or midsummer months, and the mayflies are going to start slowing down a little bit. Doesn't mean that you can't get into a topwater bite out there. You're still going to see those slicks of those casings out there on the lake. You're going to see them most of the summer. It's just it won't be as intense, and they won't be like football fields wide like they were in the peak part of the hatch. But so for all you guys that were waiting for the mayfly hatch to slow down because you can't catch fish when the mayflies are hatching, okay, it's time to go back out there. Now for the rest of you guys that have been still fishing out there, even with the mayfly hatch, what you've been finding out is like there is a whole lot of fish out near the channel, from that 25 can all the way up into the south channel, whether you're chasing walleyes or whether you're chasing perch. Muskies out there too, and there's always some smallies out there as well. But the guys that I talked to this week that went out and were trolling for walleyes did exactly, they did what I suggested, right? Fish for walleyes in the morning, find the perch, go back in, anchor up on them, and pound the perch, and that's what they were doing. So I talked to more than a couple of guys that were out there by the channel, like by that 26 can area, and then even some further up to the north that just did phenomenal on perch, to the point that they said, the heck with the walleyes, I'm just going to go perch fishing. They've been using minnows, they've been using worms. It doesn't seem to matter when you're on the fish. You're gonna catch them. And yeah, you got to pick through them, but there's some really super quality perch out there, and there has been really for about the last 18 months. So we've got really good healthy perch population out there right now. And you don't have to go all the way to the channel to target them. Like I keep telling you guys, those mid weed beds or those weed beds that are out a couple of miles off the mile roads, halfway between the shore and the channel out there, hunt them down with your electronics. Not every weed bed is going to hold fish, but when you get on the right weed bed, you're going to catch everything. You'll catch smallies, you'll catch perch, and you'll even get some really big pumpkin seeds that show up out in the middle of nowhere out there sometimes. And that's not just Anchor Bay area, that's down in the mile roads. It's kind of amazing. You'll be out there, even sometimes out by the channel. If you get on the right weed beds, you'll catch these great big, 9-inch pumpkin seeds out in the middle of nowhere, which is pretty cool. So that's perch fishing. Anchor Bay too, what I should say too about Anchor Bay this year is with the water temperatures, at least where they've stabilized and staying cool, and they're even going to be cooler up in Anchor Bay, that might be a good bet for some of you guys that have never fished up on that end of the lake, especially if we get a blow day and the south end of the lake gets tore up too much. Go up to that north end up around Anchor Bay and poke around on those weed beds out there by Grassy, by that break out there. Or just out by the bee marker. Those are all places that are going to hold a lot of fish. And with the water temps and the weeds that are the growth being kind of held back a little bit this year, with it being slower than normal, those weed beds might be more to your guys' liking out there. So give them a try. If you're if the wind is blowing and it's too rough down on that south end, head up onto that north end and give it a shot. There's also a lot of muskies up on that north end of the lake. I know it doesn't get that much attention up there on those weed beds up in the north end, but I do know guys that go up there and target that north end, and it's really a lot of numbers up there. There isn't always a lot of big size like those big 50-plussers that they get over on the Canadian side midsummer, but there's generally a lot of numbers of smaller fish up on that north end of the lake. And if you're a caster or a kayaker, that may be just the ticket for you, is to go up there and pound some of those weed beds up on the north end. I want to talk a little bit about the St. Clair River and a technique that a couple of the guys at the shop have been using and doing really well up there, actually for the last 2 years. They started last year with those perch pounders that you guys all like to use for perch out there. They started walking the wall with those perch pounders, and I mean literally right on the seawall, kind of like what I used to do as a kid all the time down in Blossom Heath and 9 Mile and something down in Grosse Pointe area. We used to walk those seawalls with hair jigs, but these guys were doing it up there up by Marysville, walking that seawall on the boardwalk with perch pounders, and they were taking limits of walleyes. They started doing it last year, and they're doing it again this year, only they've refined it a little bit this year. They're not only using the perch pounders, but now they're also, instead of using a sinker down on the bottom, they're putting like a hair jig down there, like one of those VMC hair jigs, or you could put a twister tail down there, you could put a finesse down there, a thumpum plastic down there on the bottom. Or you could also just completely rig to do it and to set it up like a drop shot rig, only running your jig down there on the bottom like a thumpum plastic or a finesse minnow. And the reason why I mentioned thumpums is because they got a little bit smaller size. They should have got like a 3-inch bait. And that little bit smaller size, it seems like with the bait size being smaller this year, downsizing a little bit on those plastics right now is getting a bit harder than with the bigger plastics. And you also don't have to use a stinger with those smaller plastics. So like a small like 3-inch bait or 2.5-inch bait down on the bottom, and then come up with a drop shot hook, and then you can run another minnow up there on top. Another plastic minnow. I mean, you could run any kind of a bait up there, honestly. But anyway, so that's just a technique that the guys are using. They're walking that wall and they're really doing well. So and they're doing it right by the guys that are casting out with the heavy weights and the set line. So they're catching fish right out from under them. So those fish come in on that wall. They chase minnows in on that wall, and they herd them up against the wall, and then they'll run that seawall. And as you're walking along, you just can pick them off really easy. So it helps to have a little bit more limber of a rod if you're getting them real close on short line like that, just to give them a little bit of play so you don't pop the hook on them so easy. So anyways, that's a technique I've been wanting to mention to you guys, and I always forget because my brain's like going 10,000 miles an hour when I do these videos. Shout out to Logan Lackey. It's his birthday today, 24 years old, and him and his dad were out this week, and Logan got a nice muskie, and they really picked up some nice walleyes out there trolling. And I think it was the evening when they were out there, if I remember what he was telling me. But anyways, happy birthday, Logan. Hope it's a good one for you. Hope you're out there fishing right now. Following some of the guides out there a little bit. If you're from out of state and you're looking to hook up with one of these local guides and get out there, I know a lot of these guys have got openings. I've been following Garrett Samsel out there. He is still doing multi-species, so he's getting like super easy limits of walleye. And then I know he was chasing muskie this week, I know, and they got some nice skis. I guess they had a crazy feeding frenzy go for about an hour where they just saw like a dozen fish or so. But anyway, some of the guides are still doing multi-species charters, but that's just to point out again what I was talking about earlier, right? You can catch walleyes in the morning out on this lake, and then you can chase perch, you can chase smallies, you can chase muskies. whatever, you know. So this is a really unique fishery we have out here, where you can target multi-species out here at any given day, and you just, you know, you got to go out there prepared to do more than one thing. And that's the way I've kind of spent my whole life out here in the lake, is being opportunistic. You know, if you're going out targeting walleyes and you just get into the mother load of jumbo yellow bellies, you need to be ready to go do that. So anyways, I know Garrett's still booking charters this year too, so I know I'm giving a lot of these guys shouts out, just to try to help with the crazy economy we got right now. And I know a lot of these guys have got openings when they normally don't have openings this time of the year. I was looking at the satellite imagery this week. Actually had a really good shot, and you can see how clear the water is out in the lake. You can see a little bit of off-colored water coming down through the channel, and you can also see some of the algae over on that algae bloom going on that Canadian side up on that south shoreline whenever we get like a rainstorm or whatever, and it washes in all that nitrogen from those fields over in the Canadian side. So I think that's about all I've got for you guys this week. Like I said, just kind of watch the weather. I don't trust any of the forecasts I'm seeing right now. They're kind of all over the map as far as wind directions and temps and rain and whatnot. You're just going to have to pay attention to the radar and pay attention to the wind and those forecasts within 24 hours and when you're going, and then pick where you want to go and what you want to target. Like I said, you can target multi-species out here in the lake, whether it's wallies, smallmouth, muskies, perch, or even rock bass. I think there's like a rock bass contest going on this weekend out of Harley. Somebody's putting on like I don't know, it's a 5-fish biggest rock, like the rock bass bash, I think they're calling it. So you never know what you're gonna see out here on St. Clair. Lots of opportunities, great place to fish. Get out and enjoy it. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.